Hey guys, it's Graham. This is my soft review of Absolute Batman issue 3. Not going to spoil anything major, but the main brunt of this issue focuses on Batman trying to get away in the gigantically oversized and impractical Bat haul truck. But we see a new facet of this monstrous, unusable machine in that it is basically a transformer. there there's this balance to strike between the aesthetic of Batman and the practicality of a blue collar city engineer Batman. And so it makes sense that a guy who has access to machines like this would then use one for the Batmobile. But we're entering a new realm of difficulty when we talk about him like re-engineering and then rebuilding this thing into a machine that can transform from a haul truck into something more like the Tumbler from the Dark Knight movies. But I wholly admit that this is just me being a stickler for this particular aspect of the story based on my work history. Now, I've never been a heavy equipment mechanic. I have worked with several heavy equipment mechanics, probably for about 4 or 5 years straight, for a particular leg of my career as a trucker. When I worked at the drilling and blasting company, I was based specifically in the shop alongside the mechanics who repaired and serviced the big heavy drills. And those are only about the size of a semi-truck, of the tractor unit only. These haul trucks, I kid you not, are the size of a house. When the technicians pull up to do a service on this thing, they need small cranes to work on them. When they switch out the oil, the change is measured in gallons and not quarts, sometimes in drums. It's a massive undertaking, and for one person to service these vehicles is a big deal, let alone one person to rebuild and re-engineer and keep all of this on the down low. Now, I'm reading this series with a certain suspension of disbelief, just because like I try to be a little bit gracious and look at it as like, well, the writers don't have this kind of experience that I have, and my experience is only about a 100th of what you would need to convincingly write something like this. But here's the thing, like, that's okay. I think they're giving as much lip service as is necessary to get you over this particular hump. Like the main thing that you need to understand, and not necessarily that you're straining at gnats, but suspend the disbelief a little bit and understand that this is city engineer Batman. He drives a city vehicle, and by some means or other, he converted this one using his prodigy engineer skills into a transforming bat truck. The way that this particular issue ends, and I'm going to try to dance around this without giving spoilers, is that rather than face Batman head on, the bad guys, the organized crime gang, come up with a different angle. And if they were to succeed in this angle, they would kind of be buying him off, and the amount of money would probably solve a lot of the holes that he's dug himself into being a blue collar guy and funding this operation. You can only swipe so much stuff from your job as a city employee before somebody starts to notice. And that does echo an issue that regular Batman has had, in that, you know, he's got to account for his R&D budget to the shareholders every once in a while. R&D burns through cash and funds the Batman operation. Lucius Fox is aware of what Wayne Enterprises spends, you know, on the Batman project, but he's got to find ways of convincingly writing off the money, not just for the IRS, but for the shareholders. Like, they got to wonder, well, you know, we're investing in this company, and these resources are just disappearing. Like, where's it going? What's it being used for? We kind of have a right to know. Blue collar Batman is going to have a different challenge there. I've got enough confidence so far through 3 issues that this is going to be addressed to some extent. Ultimately, you got to remember that the narrative arc of this story is not, hey, let's talk about what it would cost and how much time Bruce Wayne would have to spend to build something like this. But to some extent, that does need to be addressed in order to aid in the suspension of disbelief. And the way that this issue ends, the numbers that are thrown out there, I think, okay, there's room under that umbrella to satisfy, to some extent, the requirement of just the raw logistics of one man building and maintaining this operation at this level, especially if he's not a billionaire like the regular Bruce Wayne is. So I continue to enjoy the art. I like the little asides and flashbacks to his childhood. If I've got any questions other than the raw economics of the BatTruck, it's more to do with how issue 1 ended, where they teased the Joker at the end, and he hasn't been mentioned since. But there's a lot of other stuff going on in the main story, and I guess we'll see what that looks like when we get there. A little bit of a short review, but I just continue to enjoy these, and it's a delight. It's been a delight the last couple of times that I've pulled up to my LCS and, oh, hey, it's Batman week, and I pick it up and I read it, and it just, this is cool. And it's a forgotten pleasure almost to have something to regularly look forward to, and that's something that I continue to enjoy about having a pull file at a comic book store. So this continues to be an endorsement. If you're not the kind of person that buys individual floppies or issues or whatever, just stay tuned to the channel, and over the next 2 months, the first arc, the first volume of Absolute Batman will conclude, and you'll have a better idea of whether you'll be interested in buying the trade paperback that collects all 5 of these issues. But anyway, thanks for checking this out. Drive safe. See you out there.